And I never heard about a beauty contest because, I'm a child of a hermit. We brought up like hermit children and wasn't allowed to really mix up too much and stuff like that. So here I was, what is this? And she explained to me, they're both there. And so I said, I didn't know. I'd have to speak to my grandmother. And so I went home.
Because you were living with your grandmother in Kingston at the time, right?
Just arrived in Kingston, basically about not even 6 months I was there. And my grandmother gave me the go ahead and say, yes, go on, and basically you get put through a sort of finishing school. It was completely different from what thing is today, because they're really training you to go out and really be an ambassador for your country.
Absolutely.
And that's how it was. They're still the colonies, Jamaica hadn't had independence yet. So,
right.
So it was like 61.
Mm-hmm. And so independence was 62.
Yeah. And so
what happened with that? Yes, tell me about that.
I entered the contest. We went through a year of grooming and meeting and going here and that and so on and so on. And finally, when the contest did happen, apparently I won the contest.
Miss Jamaica?
And then they called me about 3 times back on the stage, and one of the questions was, how old are you? And I said, 16 and a half. And I was meant to be like 17 to be in the contest.
Oh, my goodness.
So I was like almost disqualified, but they gave me 3rd place, lots of presents, and I got lots of money. One of my favorite was I was given a year's visit to any cinema in Jamaica by the man.
That's when cinemas were cinemas.
Yes, we had the Rialto downstairs, the Palace, all of it, and that was the great. And I got to ride in a yellow taxi for 1 year, and I could take all my friends. So I used to go to the cinema a lot.
But that opportunity of entering that beauty pageant also exposed you to the creme de la creme in Jamaican society at the time, because you were hobnobbing with people like the then Prime Minister.
Yes, we knew all of them. No, no. You're talking about Bustamante and Norman Washington Manley.
Yes.
No, Siaga hadn't
came much later. I'm sorry. Yes.
And so, we got to meet all those sort of officials and so. But I think that the people who had the most amazing impact on me is these women who had such faith in me that, I don't even know why they bothered, but it was a great opportunity for me to get out of Jamaica. Basically, I run away from home and I run away from my father.
Was your father a strict?
Very strict.
He was very strict. So
we're the children of hermit, and he's an architect. He used to travel all around the island and work, and so. But yet we weren't allowed to go out or go anywhere or have anybody over to the house or go to any parties or anything.
Right. So how did you then make the leap from the Miss Jamaica pageant to being in England?
I went with the girls, all these girls from the contest, because
I like the way you say that. The girls. You've been living in England too long. You went with the girls from the contest.
So Chelsea, living in Chelsea since 1962.
Wow, my goodness.
Yes, it was about 7 of us, and they were all going to go to England. And I remember that Martine Beswick, who was Mary Beswick at the time, and she had come home from England and she'd been in the contest, and she just took to me, and I didn't even know that you had to have a passport. So she helped me to get the passport, and my brother sort of signed some documents for me to be able to do it.
So this is all done without your father's
absolutely,
consent, right?
because
I'm picking up on this.
Yeah, I gave my brother all the, my brother Johnny Anderson.
Right. And, so you were quite an independent young lady.
Well, it's just really, I knew that I had to go. I just had to get off of that island, and so. And my grandmother was for me, and my mother understood it, and she said, yes, go, if you can go. And this girl, Martine Beswick, she used to work for British Airways, and it wasn't British Airways then, it was BOAC.
Yes.
And she used to work for the Jamaica version of the British West Indian Airways.
Oh, right, BWIA, I remember these.
And so she organized everything. And as I could get on the plane, and I sold all the presents, I was given so many things, and I got lots of money, and got my ticket. And
so wasn't it culture shock fetching up in England?
Oh, absolutely.
Because not just in terms of the weather, but in terms of the buildings and the cosmopolitan nature of the country that you...
Because first of all, I got to the airport, and when we got into, my first encounter of racism was right there, because one of the girls, Andrea Mormon, she said that I could stay with her, But once her family saw, and she's sort of like a white Jamaican, and she was in the contest with us, and we became really good friends. But once they saw me, no way, because, you know, to them I was a black woman, and everybody else was like white Jamaicans that I was with. And, sorry.
Okay.
And,
So how did they react to you?
Well, absolutely not. You're not coming to live in our house. And so Martine, the same girl, just said, come with us. And so I went with her and her mum. And she, eventually, I got her the first part in the James Bond film. She got 2 parts because the other one they wanted me for it, and one of the producers didn't want me.
Right.
Because they say I wasn't dark enough to play a black. I was too dark to play a black person.
How ironic is
So
that?
Martine Bezic was very, very light skinned Jamaica. She got to do in Thunderball. So she plays the spy with James Bond in it. But she was one of the gypsy girls that was fighting from Russia with love.
My goodness! So you land in England in 1961 thereabouts, and you land on your feet. You land on your feet, modelling straight away. Because Esther,
yes,
you are still an attractive woman, but everybody with youth, they have something. You had that it quality.
Yes, that's what they call us.
You had the it quality. So you found work, first of all, as a model. How did you then parlay that into working for, because I understand you worked for Woman's Own magazine, which is a very, very popular magazine.
That's right. Aubrey Ricks was a friend of Ken McNeil, was Dr. McNeil, who then became Minister of Health in Jamaica.
Right.
He was a very great friend of the family, and since I was a young girl, and he had us painted for some reason or other. We all of us from the contest were painted, and those sort of illustrations are still in Ken McNeil's hotel in Negril Beach Club.
Wow.
And,
okay.
We were like 15 or something when those were done. So we met this wonderful artist called Aubrey Ricks, and when they were leaving for England, they said to me, if you ever come to England, look us up.
Wow.
So we were living in Chelsea. When Martin and I came, we took an apartment right opposite the river, the Thames, which I still live. I still live in the area.
Oh,
I live in Cheney Row.
Don't tell anybody where you live. We've got some people from London who are logged
Hi guys.
in. I just want to say that you know
London.
the comments. Aki Woman is saying an amazing life. Aki Woman, you haven't heard the half of what Esther has gone through, what she's lived, and she's here to tell the tale when so many of your compatriots are not.
Yes.
So we're going to get to that point, but I want you to set up your life, because your life is the documentary. It's incidental
Yes,
that
exactly.
Bob Marley is in it, but it's your life.
It's a personal portrait that I shared with the fans.
Yeah.
Well, I worked for Ricks, and Martine got jobs at works, so both of us were modelling for Ricks, and it led to him taking me to meet the #1 agent in the country, called Senyon. She was a woman from, I think, Singapore or something, but she ran the model agency, and the woman, first he'd take me to see this wonderful photographer called Adrian Flowers, and that was in Tide Street in Chelsea.
Yeah, I've heard that name.
Yeah, and he was a very important photographer at that. And he photographed me, and there were beautiful shots and everything. And so Aubrey said, okay. And so he took me there, and he said, she's from Jamaica, and so on. The woman took one look at me, and she said, if you think you're going to do any modelling in this country, you might as and make a living from it, you might as well go and jump in the Thames.
Really? Why
and
was
I
she
looked
so
at
rude?
her, because in those days you just did not have black people doing any modelling or anything like that. No, I would never get any work. So I looked at her and I thought, you know, once you tell an Anderson that, forget it. You know, I'm going to prove
there's
her
fighting
wrong.
words, right?
It's my nemesis to go forward. So I said, right, when you say that, and so I just happened to one day be at the set designer Ken Adams that did all the James Bond films at his house at a party in Knightsbridge.
Right.
And people saw me dancing, and a man there saw me dance, and next minute, you know, I was called in to audition for a commercial. For Kent cigarettes, tobacco, or what it was. It's cigars. It's called Don Seller Cigars.
Oh.
And
just based on your moves.
My dancing.
So what kind of moves were you throwing down?
God only know. You know, we were young and still a teenager. and we were just dancing. You know, we lived to dance in the 60s. You know? And so, I mean, I was dancing at least 5-6 nights days a week. And no,
Swinging
clubs,
60s.
clubs,
Yes.
and parties. But you know, and I did the commercial, and it won the Dada Award for me. It was award. It was big thing in the Dorchester Hotel. I was down at Dolly's, you know, dancing and everything. And also Bob Freeman, who did all the Beatles album covers and did the trailers, the original titles for the 2 Beatles songs. He said, "You've just been on the screen in the Dorchester Hotel, and you've won the Dada Award for the dancing girl in the Dom Cellar cigar." That commercial played on English television for over 6 years, and I did about 3 more for them, and they took me all over England as an official guest. Yes,
or the cigar girl, the dancing girl,
the girl from the dancer cigar, because you'd go into shops and people just give you discount and things like that on clothes and so.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. But Esther, how was it that you just happened to be at the right place in front of the right people to move your career to the next level? What do you think that was?
I think because there was only 2 of us like us in London in that circle. I didn't go to London and move to Brixton. You know what I mean? So I wasn't cut off. I was in the heart of Chelsea, and then straight into Mayfair and Belgravia and night. You know, I never left the central of London. So there was a girl called Edwina Carroll, and she was beautiful, and she was in the Susie Wang play and all these things. And she was the one that if I had any competition, she would have been my competition. She became friends with me.
Excellent.
And so we became very good friends. She was half Burmese and half Irish, so we were both kind of like, because we were mixed,
as they would say.
Exactly.
Back in the day.
So we used to get all the exotic parts, whether it's modelling or in the television stuff and whatever. And anyway,
did you do any work in TV?
Yes,
at the time, Esther?
Not yet.
Okay.
What happens is, I'm living down there in this apartment with Martine, and bam, at the door, who comes but Chris
Blackwell, for those who don't know, right?
Because we had known each other since in Jamaica.
From Jamaica, because Chris, of course, he was born in Jamaica, is that right?
No. We used to think
his family is from Jamaica, or was that all a lie? Oh, yes, you're going to tell us.
He was born in Grosvenor Square, London.
But he did live in Jamaica for a while.
There was a myth that his mother is the mother is descended of one Alexander Lindo, who was a guinea factor, a slave trader, when slavery was abolished.
So Chris Blackwell comes from slavers.
Yeah.
And you heard it right here.
And his name is Alexander Lindo, and there's a church still in Port Maria with his name on it. Yeah.
And this was a slave family. So that's another story for another time. We're talking about Esther Anderson right now, who is my guest. North Londoner is saying deep stuff. Aki Woman is saying amazing life. Marie saying interesting.
We can get some Akis.
We'll get you some Akis later on if you really need some Akis.
I do.
So you're in front of all these people, and then Chris Blackwell reappears.
Yes, and he says, so anyway, I went to Croxford's with him and blah, 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 and come and live with him. And, by then I'd gotten a little job at a real estate company. And then he told me about how he wants to start the record company and everything like that. And so basically...
Records.
No, Island.
Island Records. Well, I'm thinking of the 2 icons in cultural music. Yeah. Richard Branson was later, of course.
And he did come and help. Richard Branson, he did help to help promote our film.
So you were there at the jump, at the get-go, at the inception.
It was just me and him with Alan. He apparently started it in Jamaica, but, nothing happened. Nothing. It happened in London.
Right.
And then we started to bring over people, and the first one we brought over was Millie. My boy
Millie Small. Wow. So, as a child born in England and growing up in England, the one thing that I can say back in the 50s and the 60s was that you didn't see black people on TV, or as they said, coloured people
back
in the day.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of racism.
Yeah.
But you somehow managed to transcend that.
But you know how the people are. They just love it if you're in between, that you look more like them rather than if you look absolutely African. Because in the end, because
they somehow kind of block out that colour, and you're just then a person. You're a friend. They're not looking at you as somebody so different from them. It's as you say.
I don't know. I just think that if you're light skinned and you know all this rubbish about Bob Marley suffered because he was more light skinned than the rest, that is absolute rubbish. That does not happen in Jamaica. If you're light skinned, you get through quicker than if you're black skinned.
Do you think that's the same today?
Well, it depends what you own.
Okay.
You know, who owns what in Jamaica?
Yeah.
If you go back to Jamaica and really make an assessment, you can say, okay, we have some parliamentarians, we have Portia there and whatever. But have they really crack it?
Who
Who owns the mountains?
Yes.
The Blue Mountains?
The beaches.
Whatever, all the hotels, right?
Yeah.
And they're Jamaicans.
Right.
So
anyway, we digress. So I've dragged you down another rabbit path again. But you know what, Esther? I don't know about you, but I need to have a little libation because I'm feeling a bit dry. How are you doing? It's very, very warm in the Conduit Studios. I'm always complaining, even though we do have a fan. It's spring. We're still in spring. We're still in spring. But what a beautiful weekend it's been.
Wonderful. We were in the country. We just came in for your show.
Wow, I feel honoured and really very happy to be sitting next to Esther Anderson, someone that I've known about.
Did you know me in England?
I didn't know you in England, but I knew of you.
Well, I did everything from No Hiding Place, Dixon of Dock Green,
yes, exactly.
The Avengers.
But I would never think that I would be sitting next to this famous actress. I want to say good evening to British Empress who's just logged into the chat room. As you can see, my guest is in the studio, the esteemed Mr. Esther Anderson. And I know, Brother Blue, we're going to get back to your question, but we're building. And Esther Anderson is telling us about her early life. Of course, she is a renowned actress. She started off as beauty pageant and then made the transition into modeling. And then we're going to segue into the acting. But I need to play some music.
Oh, yes.
We actually have an album here, but I don't know if I should actually start. Yes, I'm going to start playing because I think one of the main reasons that Esther is here, she's actually promoting a very serious body of work. It's a documentary called Bob Marley, The Making of a Legend. Why did you choose to call it Bob Marley, The Making of a Legend, and not the Esther Anderson story?
Because I had a picture editor called Robin Richmond, whose family sort of adopted me. I was sort of like a protege of this amazing family in Washington. They brought over T.S. Eliot, Isaac Denison, Bernard Leach, all these amazing, iconic people to do with the arts. And, you know, she just was so amazing with me. This girl, she taught me so much stuff. She's passed now, but she was a top reporter for Life magazine, and she actually, this title is she came up with it, and it's dedicated to her. Right. And I wanted through the title to show you how we did the work. The film is about what happened when I met Bob Marley and how we went about putting a package together to launch his career in the world outside, because I'd already done it with Jimmy and Millie and everybody else, you know, I think. All right. And all the big studios had done it with me, because when I did the Touchables, I had to come here. It was the entrance to Ever Film Festival. It was the British entry in all the festivals. We had to come and represent it. We've been on the Johnny Carson show. We've been all over the place here in America. And then finally I did Two Gentlemen Sharing, you know, one film right after another, and that won the Venice Award for the director. Then I did the film with Jerry Lewis with Sammy Davis as my boyfriend in the, you know.
What was the name? Do you remember the name?
One More Time.
One More Time.
Yeah, I played his girlfriend in it. You know, it's a comedy. But then I got the part in Warm December, and Warm December I won the Image Award, and I was put forward for an Oscar nomination by my peers.
Are you taking all of this in, folks? It's so much bigger than Bob Marley. I'm sitting here talking with Esther Anderson, and it's important to know the body of work, because I'm going to address something when I come back on here. But I think, first of all, I want to play a track here that comes from the CD. Oh, dear. If I can remember what I'm supposed to do to play the track. Lord have mercy. Give me strength here. It's been a while since I've been in the Conduit Studios, folks. I'm going to give Michelle a shout, because I can't believe I don't remember how to play the CD.
Oh yeah, remember we had that problem.
We had this problem before, right?
Oh, the CD, okay.
This opens it, I know. This opens it, and this brings it back. This is the power.
Over here, look, over here.
It's up.
CD
It's up. It's up. It's up, but nothing's playing because Oh, maybe I have to do this. No, I'll do that. Something
over here,
really.
Over here, remember? Not over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Which is which?
Yeah.
It's not either one of those. Maybe I need to bring that
I just
up.
heard sound.
This is hilarious.
No, bring up
Yeah.
CD1 and CD2, right?
It's there.
No, on the
They're up.
board.
They're up.
They're up?
Yes, okay. So this is the problem that we had last week when we couldn't play the CDs because everything has been changed around, and I'm a creature of habit. So if you change things up on me, it throws me for a loop. Anyway, I'm gonna call my second engineer, Mr. Lorman Lynch, and hopefully he'll be able to answer me and tell me what it is I'm not doing right. I think I've got it. I think I've got it. I think I've got it. Hold on a second. No, that's not it. That's not it either. All right. We're going to go back to the CD in a second then. So, Aki Woman is asking you, did you co-produce The Harder They Come?
No, I didn't co-produce. I was an associate producer on it because I actually started with Perry Hensel with one page. Between me and my friends here in New York City, encouraged the script and helped Perry to develop it. But you could say, the fellow who wrote the script with him, Trevor Rohn. Trevor Rohn never gets any credit, and people forget about him. But I say, Trevor Rohn was one of the great
co-writers
we had in Jamaica, playwright, very funny guy, and totally devoted to literature and encouraging and everything. And when Perry Hensel came back to England, when we finally had something on paper, and he's looking for the money, and so I set up a sort of dinner meeting with Frank Pringle and various other people who would be interested in backing the film, and but I also made sure Jimmy was at the meeting, so I coached him. I took him out, and I just say, they look at you and think, you're some little gardener boy, and think that, but you're going to sit here and you're going to be equal to them, and so on. So he was very, very strong. But we spent some months getting ready for this meeting, and because all that time Perry Hensel wanted Johnny Nash, they come up and they say all these kind of stories about how
happy.
Even Jimmy Cliff has his own version now of how he comes to get the part. I got Jimmy Cliff the part because I was like a personal manager.
Because you worked with him to bring him to
Chris
the UK.
Blackwell and I were in partnership with the record company.
Wow. And this is why, Esther, when people say, there was a comment in the chat room, why are you going on about Bob Marley? It's important for people to tell their own stories.
Exactly. We all have a story to tell, and we have to be careful of the single story, including that Bob Marley is the only one who brings reggae out of Jamaica.
Well,
it's not.
No, we know it's not true, because before Bob Marley, there were many musicians. One of my favorites was Alton Ellis. There were Prince Buster, Desmond Decker, all of these people
who had hit songs before long before.
Yes.
In the English charts.
I think I read a comment. Yes. And that paved the way for a lot of these artists.
And then, of course,
today.
Jimmy comes and he's like our John the Baptist in a way, because he was really there. He had we got him on when he had Wonderful World, Beautiful People.
And even before then, because he would sing. I remember that Blue Beat song, King of Kings.
Yes.
There's a young.
The Lion Say.
The Lion Say. And he was there doing the scat, and I'm like, is that Jimmy Cliff? Because he was a little wisp of a man.
Yeah.
And so many of these artists that we forget. So it's absolutely vital for people like you, Esther, who lived that time, to tell your story. People take one element of that story and run with it. Okay. I guess because of who Bob Marley was, now we can look back and say
it's all well and good. Most of them can nap up their head and wear false nuts and whatever, because I carry my locks long time ago, 1973, right?